I welcome all of you to our July meeting of the City of Aiken Design Review Board. We appreciate your participation in this process and your patience with us. We will be reviewing the minutes from the June 2nd work session and meeting and board meeting. And as soon as we vote on that, then we'll have our first applicant, which is a revisit of application from last month.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes for the work session and regular meeting June 2nd, raise your right hand. Okay. The minutes approved is submitted. Okay, and then I'll ask our acting secretary to introduce us to item number 2 here under old business, please.
First item under old business, we just maintained the same certificate application number D 20-0011051. The applicants are requesting to construct a new bank, generally at the northeast corner of Richland Avenue West and Pendleton Street Northwest. It's approximately a 2,500 square foot structure. The general layout of the site was approved at the prior meeting, which is why this was not really a continuance, but it falls under old business. This is kind of a continuance of that item, but essentially the plan was approved with requested revisions to come back before you on the entry feature of the building specifically. And so what you have before you, and I have up here in the first photo, is what came before you previously, and essentially it was asked to try to scale down to, I guess, more pedestrian scale the entryway to the structure. So you can see here the difference. It did a couple things. It dropped the height of the entryway as well as the roof line, and it, instead of using a white material to wrap the columns, it carries the brick on through with kind of column highlights on the south-facing exterior. Staff will be glad to answer any additional questions, and the applicant is here to represent the item.
Good, thank you, Mr. Acting Secretary. Yeah, I'd like to ask Steve, the architect, if you don't mind. You've made this trip all the way over here. Appreciate you coming back. And if you would, please give your name and address.
Okay. Steve Usfrey, an architect in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Good. Great. Thank you for coming. And I believe your revised rendering is pretty self-explanatory, and of course Mr. Bland has explained some of this. Is there anything that you wanted to add as far as your satisfaction with the result?
Well, in keeping with what Mr. Bland said, we were asked to look at the height and the scale and presence of the entrance, to reduce that and to introduce more brick if possible, which means less of the cast stone. We lowered the base under the pilasters down to the same as the water table around the building, eliminated a horizontal portion of the pediment, matched the eaves of the building, so which, as we discussed in the workshop, seems to make the building feel taller, the windows taller by reducing the height. And I would agree with that. We added the brick behind the pilaster. The facing of that whole projection is brick now, which I think accents the pilasters, makes them scale-wise. I think they're not much change in height, but I think the balance is better.
Yeah.
And it's a simplified entry element. And the bank is happy with those changes.
Good.
So,
Good. I appreciate your going back to the drawing board literally and also making the second trip over. Does anyone have any questions of Steve here on this? It really, I think, is an understated but successful, modification that looks like it'll fit if hopefully everybody agrees.
Yeah.
And good, good, thank you. And I'll ask if anyone else wants to speak, and then we'll have hopefully a quick vote. And I don't see anyone here that, if you're welcome to come forward if you'd like. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I will go ahead, if you don't mind, I was going to remind the chairman, during these kind of times when we are still implementing social distancing requirements in the council chambers here, we do still publish that we would accept comment via email to drbcomment@cityofaikenSC.gov. So we have not received anything, but
Sure.
we wanted to acknowledge that staff would like to at least have that for the record.
Right, and thank you, Ryan. Good. I don't think we've got any comments and don't have any further comment here, so we'd entertain a motion. And really, this is just a motion approving the new facade for the bank.
I'll make a motion that we approve certificate application D20001051 as submitted.
I second, and I really think you did followed out exactly what we were talking about in the last meeting. So thank you for that extra effort.
Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor of the revised elevation for the bank, raise your right hand. Okay, all opposed? Okay. Thank you. Good. We'll move on now to item number 3, I believe. Thank you all again for coming back. Yeah, we can go ahead now.
All right. Mr. Chairman, your next application and final application this evening is CERH 20-059. It is at 1011 South Boundary. We have here that there are multiple exterior alterations, and I'll not go into detail on every single one, but for the record, we'll go over kind of the generalities of them here as it is in the staff report. Some of the primary things being done is at the southeast corner. I apologize. Of South Boundary and Marlboro. So it has kind of 2 road facings that apply for review, as well as anything you may be able to see on the exterior from right-of-way, either of those rights-of-way, which is kind of most of the house, mostly the rear side, and take into account the vegetation as an impediment to viewing the structure. So the structure itself, we had an original build date in the 40s, but has been added on to a number of times. The county had a construction date of 57. We think that's one of the significant additions to it, but it has had multiple additions. Nevertheless, it was listed as a contributing structure in our 2010 historic survey. Some of the primary things being done is that the roof line, right now there's a kind of an offset mid-roof line on the, I guess the eastern part of the structure, I guess left if you're facing it, that it would remove that offset in the roof line, and a new roofing material would be installed, a dark gray architectural shingle, as well as replacing the existing vinyl soffits and metal fascia with painted wood or an alternative rot-resistant material. In addition, many of the windows are proposed to be replaced. At least some of them now are wood windows, but I think there may be some additional materials involved in some of the additions. The applicant is proposing a wood clad with similar grid patterns, or at least grid patterns as noted on the drawing, with external muttons and interior grid as well. Another kind of significant feature is that the entryway is being reworked to kind of have a more prominent arched entryway, as well as a kind of a secondary smaller entryway on the front of the structure that you can see. Replacing the existing vinyl siding with a cement fiber board, hardy or similar, with a 5-inch exposure. It notes also that a abandoned brick chimney toward the rear of the building, from which you can see, probably just to roughly see the chimney cap at this point, is proposed to be removed, but it is our understanding that that has already been vacated on the interior of the structure. With that said, there you have the detail of both the interior renovations with this, which are help kind of explain the exterior alterations and renovations, although those aren't subject to your review, but it does kind of help explain some of the alterations made to the exterior. And staff would be glad to answer any questions, and I believe we have somebody here representing the applicant.
Good, thank you. And I'll ask our architect to come forward and give his name and his address, please.
Thank you, McDonald. I'm Cam Scott with Cheatham Fletcher Scott Architects. I live here in Aiken at 1009 Murray Court.
Okay, good. Good to have you back.
I'll be here.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
been a while.
Yeah, this is an interesting project, isn't it?
Yeah, it has been. I thought it was going to be a fairly simple little project, and it's sort of evolved. It actually started out, there's the right, I don't know, is there a laser pointer, right? Or? Okay. Yeah, this right over here is an apartment added. I don't know how many years ago. Tiger Revere, I believe, lived there. And
Okay.
so this is actually a separate little apartment right now, and so they're actually wanting to turn it into their main living room, because the existing living room is right here, and it's not large enough to serve their entertaining purposes.
Yeah.
So this will probably be used as probably the main entrance for them coming and going. So they wanted to develop a porch here at this entrance. And the more we worked with it, we said, well, we really don't want to lose this porch, because it is the traditional porch front facing south boundary, but it would be nice to maybe play it up. So we're moving everything in this house around. There's a kitchen right here now. It's going to now go in where the current den is. The dining room is going to go here now. So we want to add another larger porch here. These two talking to each other somewhat. This still is the main prominent porch facing south boundary. And so it just has been sort of evolving project. And then we wanted to try to get rid of this funny little offset in the roof here. So we're going to over frame on this so that we have the same roof line here. We will be getting rid of this metal flue chimney here, since this will be turning into the kitchen. And the materials are going to go back to more traditional materials. We won't have the vinyl siding, getting rid of some of the metal soffitting and vinyl soffitting, and going back with true painted boards. So we're trying to turn this back into a traditional type residence. So
the vinyl is very detracts from it a lot, and it's hard to. I didn't realize it was contributing. I guess the age makes it contributing, but it's had so many changes. There's not much there that's original, and in fact, it gets him looking at it up there. I have the impression maybe it'd be a good place for a window salesman to live. He could demonstrate every size window made.
They pretty much got about everything going on here, but I'm trying to simplify it a little bit. We will be enclosing this screen porch over here into a sun
Right.
porch and everything, and we're proposing to add some paneling underneath these windows to kind of give that more unifying effect right here. But the windows will be clad wood windows with simulated divided light, muds on the outside, so it'll look like a traditional window. Right now, most of these have storm windows over them, so you can't really see the glass
Yeah.
too much. So,
So if they did have original windows, they were not insulated probably?
no, it's just
Yeah.
single pane glass, most of these. These might be vinyl, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
I don't know, but most of what I could see, they were just single pane,
Yeah.
glass windows there, and they put storm windows over the majority of them, so.
Well, I'm glad y'all are replacing the vinyl,
Right,
and,
we'll go to a wider board. This vinyl's like a 4-inch exposure, we'll be going to probably a 5-inch exposure on the
Yeah.
hardy siding. And,
okay. Well, we have, one of our eagle eyes here has a question for you.
let me get,
Ben, was it you?
I guess so. So I had a couple of questions I wanted to clarify. And, you know, the house is pretty chopped up over the years. And so with you fixing the roof line and adding things, I think it's helping to unify it back some. And those are all wonderful improvements. Two questions, and before I get to the window, the porch that you're adding with the front door going in there, did you have a reason you didn't go ahead and carry that all the way to the corner of the house there? It looks like you just stopped about a foot or so short.
it just didn't feel like it was necessary, because you'd end up having, it wouldn't be centered on this porch. You'd have two bays to the right.
Yes, I'm talking about the one on the right.
Oh, you're talking about this one?
Well, yeah, that one you see where it doesn't go quite to the corner of the house.
Yeah, I mean, the owner actually wanted it to come to the corner. I'm the one that wants to pull it back, because I don't like shed roofs coming off a higher pitched roof that are all in the same plane. And to me, it always looks funny. I don't like that look. I like when I look at the side of this gable, half gable here, I like to see it end.
Right.
And then I like to see the shed porch come off set back. I don't like the two in the same plane.
I
I mean,
understand.
that's just a personal.
It's just a question.
Yeah.
And the last question I had about this facade was the window on the far right. It looks like as extensive a remodeling as you're going through that you would have centered that window on the far right just to give some more symmetry to the house rather than leaving it the way it exists currently.
Or move it
You talking about
12 inches to the left. There's a bed there in the new plan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the bed, it's being debated which wall the bed will be on. I'd have to ask the owner. I mean, it's, part is we're tearing up about everything in this house to the point.
Except for that window.
Right.
At some point, the budget runs out, McDonald, you know. Do we want to spend?
I think Ben's willing to go over there one day and just move the window over if you want.
I can talk with him about it. I agree.
It's odd because I thought it was a CAD thing, and then I looked, and the rear elevation has the little bit of shutter sticking out.
yeah, it's there's sometimes you.
Yeah, I realize the window's currently in that configuration,
Yeah, it's just-
but you're making a huge investment in the property, and it seems like you would correct that.
That's a good point. I will bring that up to the owner. Again,
We thought maybe you left it in there for us to catch, you know?
you know, this little bedroom addition out here, it's
Yeah.
strange.
That's not
That's
a-
all I can tell you. It's
Not a
strange.
showstopper, it just, it looks like that there was a closet wall there, so it had to be way,
Yeah, there's a closet right now, and then they had that taken out.
Yeah. You
And I
can-
think they maybe want to put the bed, but then do you want that window centered on your bed?
I think you'd do it, yeah, I don't think you need to move it 12 inches or something maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, I would even suggest maybe looking at a double window or something
Yeah.
to make it more uniform with the rest of the house, but
Well, look at the floor plan though, where it says first floor renovated,
Right.
yeah.
Oh,
It looks like that they have maybe a bed.
yeah.
There it is,
They
yeah,
didn't want the bed over there, that was one
yeah,
of
which,
the
yeah,
last changes they made.
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the thing is just make it,
It'd be a narrow window, yeah,
and we are gonna make these windows taller here, and take out these two here, so.
Yeah.
That would probably make sense to make that one taller, match the ones and narrower.
mm-hmm,
So, that's a good point.
yeah. No, it looks, these look like all of them practical improvements, and if you take the vinyl off the exterior, it'll be a really nice,
Yeah, I think that this is a much-needed remodel and a huge improvement to the property, so.
Yeah, I mean, they've spent a lot of money now in the landscaping of it. It's well maintained and landscaped. It's just now a matter of the house is gonna,
that's a lot of square
blown up.
footage, yeah,
so.
yeah, good. Well, any other comments, questions?
Just one, Cam, how are you doing, Cam?
I'm well, John, how are you?
The skylights on the back, they
Yeah.
don't exist now, these are the addition.
They are addition. I've tried to talk to the owner to take them out because they're facing south, but they won't, they want south lights, so they want them across this den right here, about 3 skylights, I believe.
Yeah,
I have some kilts so that when they start leaking, they'll have something.
You can talk to Tony. I've said, Tony, they're
I know.
they're
in the
going
winter, they'll have sunlight coming under that porch, won't they? Yeah.
under this. You talking about here?
Yeah, yeah, in other words, in the wintertime, some of that south light will,
Yeah. I've tried to convince Tony to south-facing skylight out. It's not something I want, but he wants them. So
okay. Well, thank you. We'll, we don't believe anybody else is here who would speak, but we'll see if any neighbors have contacted the city. No?
No comments.
No comments? Okay. All right. Well, we might want to have a motion on this, and if you guys want to just allow the architect to modify the window as is appropriate with the approval of the owner, you could add that little less comment if you wanted. I don't think it's going to be a showstopper either way. Whoever makes the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve certificate application H 20-059 as submitted with the
Okay.
option to move the bedroom
Okay?
window.
Great. Okay.
Second.
I've got a motion, a second. Any other comment? Okay, all in favor of the application submitted, raise your right hand. Okay, good to go. Thank you. I believe that is all of our business, so I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.